nights, truths on the run. They make secrets, we're the ones who dig them up for fun. Headstones in the graveyard where stories reside. We bring back headlines, no place to hide. Try to cover it, but we'll find the trace. Shadows and whispers, no escape from this place. Headstones and headlines, where the truth collides. We'll expose the lies, there's nowhere to hide. From the dirt to the brick, we'll make it clear. True crime uncovered, it's why we're here. The headline tells a tale of deceit. From the grave to the page, the truth reads. Cold cases, long leads, nothing gets by. We turn the stones, leave no questions why. You can run, but we're hard on the trail. Every secret's revealed, no matter how stale. Headstones and headlines, where the truth collides. We'll expose the lies, there's nowhere to hide. From the dirt to the brick, we'll make it clear. True crime uncovered, it's why we're here. In the dark of the night, we bring it to light. Every crime, every lie, every fight. No stone left unturned, no truth left unsaid. We write the headlines from the graves of the dead. Headstones and headlines, where the truth collides. We'll expose the lies, there's nowhere to hide. From the dirt to the brick, we'll make it clear. True crime uncovered, it's why we're here. Headstones and headlines, where the stories remain. We dig them up, we feel their pain. The truth is out, the case is closed, but our search for justice never slows.
Hey everyone, happy Friday. Thanks for being here. I feel like it's been forever since I've been live. It's only been since Wednesday, but first week back at work has been interesting to say the least, and very exhausting. Sorry for being a little bit late. I took a nap and kept telling Alexa 10 more minutes. So I was getting everything together. There is so much out there in regards to the Apalachee High School shooting, and so many things have happened since Wednesday. Specifically, not only was the shooter, charged with 4 counts of murder, felony murder at that, but his father was also arrested for providing the gun used in the shooting. And that in itself is, I just don't understand it, especially when the FBI had traced a Discord message to the home of Colt Gray. And we are going to listen to some of the audio of that. And yet, Dad still gave him an AR-style rifle for Christmas 9 months ago, 10 months ago. It just, I don't understand. I don't understand. And I agree with Dad being charged. I will say I haven't watched the entirety of the court proceedings from today for both Colt and his dad, Colin, but I know Dad was visibly upset, which, just like, kids have to be held accountable, so do adults. But for the father not buying this gun, this event probably would not have happened. So it's just, it's really sad. So I have been trying to catch up, but there's just so much. And going through the videos I had saved in my list for the presentation today, we would be here for hours for all of the ones that I would want to talk about. So I have condensed it to 10 videos, and we hopefully will get through all of them because they're all important, and so are the victims, especially those who lost their lives and those who were injured in the shooting. And also those students who weren't physically injured, but who now are going to be emotionally traumatized and have such anxiety. I don't even know how you go back to school. I don't even know. So thanks for being here. I did see Ninja was here earlier. Let's see, where is her comment? Hi, Headstones. Know that I appreciate the coverage of your topics. I watch if I am awake, but I do not chat because it takes a toll on my eyes. Have a great stream. Thank you, Ninja. And Ninja she's in a different time zone, so she's probably sleeping right now. Opal, thanks for being here. We don't like you. B. Amac, thanks for listening and driving. Be safe. Jerry, thanks for being here. Karma. I know, it is heartbreaking. Super heartbreaking. So first thing I'm going to start with is, as I was getting ready for this presentation, there have been 13 more arrests of individuals calling in threats after this shooting. 13. And I ask myself, what possesses people to do such things? They know that they should know that this community is already grieving, yet they're calling in threats to schools. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm going to start with that video because it's not about necessarily the events at Apalachee High School, but it is relevant because I just don't get it. Shooting. Oh, and I forgot the most important part. They are students. They are students. So I had said individuals, but specifically, they are students.
We have seen a number of social media threats at other Metro Atlanta schools. Some of those threats have led to the arrests of students. School leaders in Gwinnett County say students at Archer High School and Meadow Creek High School were arrested for making terroristic threats. 13 students were arrested across
13 students all across Georgia.
DeKalb, Hall, Forsyth, Jackson, Clark, Oconee, and Newton counties. School districts are now calling on parents to help. And live at 5, Atlanta News First Patrick Quinn has their message.
Oh no, what happened? Hold on a second. What did I do?
Shooting, we have seen a number.
Oh gosh. Wait. Give me 1 second. I don't know what happened with that video. Hold on a second. What the heck? It shouldn't have cut off like that. Give me 1 second. Oh my gosh. Oh, here we go. Okay, it was only 27 seconds. Well, that's annoying. I'm going to go to the next video, but why would it only be 27 seconds? They didn't even talk about it, really. Okay, so it was only 27 seconds. So we will then go into the court hearings today. So both Colt and his dad Colin had their first appearances. And when I saw a notification at school today, and I just looked quick, and I couldn't think, but this kid is so little. He is a little kid. He is 14, so 9th grade. I teach 9th graders this year. I have a few upperclassmen, but the majority are 9th grade. And I look at them, and they're just, I don't get it. But we are going to take a look at this. And then after this, we also have the court hearing for his dad.
All right, good morning, sir. Are you Mr. Colt Gray?
Sir.
My name's Curry Mingledorf. I'm assigned to preside over this morning's proceedings. Mr. Gray, I do need to inquire as to whether you're able to read and write the English language.
Yes, sir.
All right. I also want to inform you, I want to ask you, do you understand that you have the right to be represented by an attorney in these proceedings?
Yes, sir.
And you are in fact represented today, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Zane Harmon, you're here on behalf of this defendant, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and you understand that you have the right to be continuously represented throughout this proceeding, and if you cannot afford to hire counsel, then this court is obligated under the Constitution to provide counsel for you without cost to you. All right, I am going to inform you of a few other matters, and I'm not going to ask you anything, just inform you. So one is, I want to make sure that you are aware that you have the right to remain silent. You don't have to say anything at all. And it's important to understand that because anything you might say could be used against you at further proceedings associated with your case. I want to inform you of the charges that you currently face. In essence, you are charged with 4 counts of felony murder as outlined in the state warrants that have been issued against you. I want to make you aware that the maximum penalty for felony murder, so for each count, the maximum penalty is that you could be punishable by death,
Wow.
by imprisonment for life, without parole, or by imprisonment for life, with the possibility of parole. If you have any questions about these charges, then I would urge you to discuss those with your attorney. I would invite you, Mr. Harmon, to inform the court as to whether there's a request for bond at this time.
At this time, Your Honor, there is not a request for bond. We will file the appropriate motions if that becomes necessary.
All right. An indictment by the grand jury for most felony offenses or accusations, well, you have the right to receive an indictment for these offenses. And I assume Mr. Brad Smith is here on behalf of the DA's office, or he is our district attorney, and he's accompanied by Ms. Patricia Brooks, who is his chief assistant. A preliminary hearing, you'll have the right also to a preliminary hearing, unless you make a bond, which of course at this point there's no bond being requested, or unless you waive such a hearing. You have the right to a speedy and public trial by a judge or jury. You have the right to confront and cross-examine all witnesses. You have the right to call witnesses on your own behalf and testify in your own defense if you so choose. As you sit here in this courtroom today, under the law, you are presumed innocent. Your refusal to testify at any point in any proceeding will not be used against you in determining whether you are guilty or not guilty. Counsel, let me just inquire as to whether there are any other items that the court should address before we conclude this preliminary hearing.
No, Your Honor.
Well, I do have one piece of information to convey to the court. There was a development yesterday afternoon that makes it necessary for our office to have alternate counsel appointed, and arrangements have already been made in that regard. I've already explained that to Mr. Gray, and alternate counsel will be appointed by the end of the day today.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Donna C. Graves. All right, then with that, this hearing is concluded, and you may escort this defendant out.
I mean, tiny. And I would love to know why he did this. Only he knows, but some information has come out in regards to what he may have done, why he may have done it.
Right, with that, I understand that we have another appearance hearing. And at this hearing, I'm first going to ask you just a few questions, and then I'm going to advise you of your rights and also let you know about a preliminary hearing that's been scheduled for you. Why don't you just state your name, please? All right, pull the microphone down, please. There you go. All right, and how old are you, Mr. Gray?
54.
And are you able to read and write and understand the English language without
Yes,
any
sir.
difficulty?
Yes, sir.
How far did you go in school?
11th grade GED.
Okay. And I note that you have counsel seated with you at the table. Do you understand that you have the right to be represented by an attorney at all times for this and all future proceedings in your case?
Yes, sir.
And do you understand that, of course, if you cannot afford an attorney, that the public defender will be appointed to the system is working? And all right.
Okay, I'm not sure what's happening with this one, so I'm gonna change to a different one. I don't know if it keeps glitching like that. I'm not sure. So we're just gonna go to this one that I had from channel 3. Hey, Willow, good to see you. Hopefully this one isn't as glitchy as the law and crime.
Good morning, sir. Are you Mr. Colin Gray? Am I pronouncing your first name correctly? Mr. Gray, my name is Curry Mingledorf. I'm assigned to preside over this morning's proceeding. This is your first appearance hearing. And at this hearing, I'm first going to ask you just a few questions, and then I'm going to advise you of your rights and also let you know about a preliminary hearing that's been scheduled for you. Why don't you just state your name, please? All right, pull the microphone down, please. There you go. All right, and How old are you, Mr. Gray?
54.
And are you able to read and write and understand the English language without
Yes,
any
sir.
difficulty?
Yes, sir.
How far did you go in school?
11th grade GED.
Okay. And I note that you have counsel seated with you at the table. You understand that you have the right to be represented by an attorney at all times for this and all future proceedings in your case?
Yes, sir.
And you understand that, of course, if you cannot afford an attorney, that the public defender will be appointed to represent you upon your request.
Yes, sir.
All right. And counsel, would you identify yourself, please, for the record?
Donna Seagraves, we are going to have new counsel assigned to Mr. Gray later today.
All right. Thank you. All right. Okay. Sorry. Just need to make sure that the system is working. And all right. So the following aren't questions that I'm going to ask. I'm just informing you of some things. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you at further hearings or at a trial on the charges that you're facing. For this hearing, you're not going to be questioned about facts and circumstances surrounding your charges. You are currently charged with, and you'll be provided with copies of the warrants if you don't already have them. You're currently charged with 2 counts of felony murder in the second degree. You're charged with 4 counts of felony involuntary manslaughter. You're charged with 8 counts of felony cruelty to children in the second degree. Now, for these offenses, for the felony murder counts in the second degree, felony murder in the second degree, the maximum penalty for each count is up to 30 years imprisonment. For felony involuntary manslaughter, of course, again, there are 4 counts. The maximum penalty for each of those offenses is 10 years imprisonment. For the 8 felony cruelty to children counts, the maximum penalty under the law for each of those 8 counts is 10 years imprisonment, for a maximum total possible penalty for the charges that you currently are facing of 180 years imprisonment. If you have questions about these charges, which I assume that you will, the court urges you to discuss those with your attorney. Let me inquire as to whether there's a motion for bond if Mr. Gray is moving for bond at this time.
No, sir, not at this time. We will allow alternate counsel to make that decision.
All right, thank you. All right, I also need to inform you that you have the right to an indictment by a grand jury, and you also have the right to a preliminary hearing unless you make bond or waive such a hearing. You have the right to a speedy and public trial by a judge or jury. You have the right to confront and cross-examine all witnesses. You have the right to call witnesses on your own behalf and testify in your own defense if you so choose. I want to make it clear to you, Mr. Gray, that you are presumed innocent. Your refusal to testify at any point cannot be used against you in determining whether you are guilty or not guilty. I mentioned the first appearance hearing a moment ago. That is being set for you for December 4th, 2024 at 8:30 a.m. Currently, that's set to take place in the Magistrate Court of Barrow County. It could be subject to change, but I just want you to know that that is the date that we currently have. In fact, counsel, could you approach, please? I have this, let's see, I need to scratch this out. this document that discusses bond and gives the date of the preliminary hearing. And I guess I could sign that and he could just get a copy of it. And then the warrants are attached to that. So I would like for him to sign it. Please.
Sign right there, just so you're getting a copy of this. He is giving you a copy. I'll give you a copy of all the warrants. Do you want me to go ahead and give him his copy?
Yes, please.
And the page continues. And are these his copies of the warrants?
Those are provided and they say service copies on them, so I assume that they're for him. Sergeant Briscoe, do you concur with that? Is that what those copies are for? Those are for the detention center? So he's got his own copies or he'll have them provided? All right, so the detention center wants to hold on to those. All right, let me, and thank you, Ms. Seagraves. I want to certainly acknowledge the presence of our district attorney, Mr. Brad Smith. He's assisted by his chief assistant, Patricia Brooks. Is there anything else, counsel, that the court needs to address that I have neglected to address?
No, Your Honor.
No, sir, not at this time.
Sorry about that. I was muted. So that in itself, Dad is visibly upset, which makes sense. I wasn't expecting his dad to be arrested personally, but the FBI statement had come out and I couldn't think, but what the heck? No probable cause. They traced the IP address to this kid's home. And yet that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough. And 180 years in prison. 180 years in prison is obviously a life sentence if convicted on all of those charges. I'm curious if the state would give any type of plea, but 180 years, not sure what the plea would be. So just to sum up, Colt Gray, who is the 14-year-old shooter, is being charged with 4 counts of felony murder. And in Georgia, state law says that minors cannot be sentenced to death. So he will face either life in prison or life in prison with the possibility of parole. Personally, I believe he needs to serve life in prison because he took 4 lives. On the other hand, he is 14 and he has, in my opinion, the ability to change. I'll be curious to see how that plays out. And Dad gifted the weapon to his son for Christmas 2023, after the FBI had investigated the son for making threats in regards to a school shooting. Yeah, possibly Pookie with the, with the Crumleys. And I think it's time that parents are held accountable, because especially in this case, the dad gave him the weapon used. Did dad imagine that this would happen? Probably not. But why would you give a child an AR style rifle? And no one needs to have that gun but military, in my opinion. No one. Yeah, the 14-year-old got it as a gift. I got a bike when I was, actually, that was probably when I was 10. I think we got a Nintendo probably when I was 14. We got a Nintendo, but that was back then. So, no, Healing Time. That is another shooting that occurred in Maryland, which had occurred in a boy's bathroom. A fight broke out in the boy's bathroom, and someone was ultimately shot in that incident, and that person had only been at the school a few days. Actually, I believe it was that day. Sinner, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the suspect had started school to today, the day of the shooting. First day. Okay, so that's what I was mistaken at first, but then as I was thinking about it, first day. Right. And yes, Healing Time, I have seen, and actually, before we go to the next video with that, I do have this article from CNN that talks about past history, and CNN with these ads is really starting to aggravate me. So this is from CNN. Georgia high school shooting suspect referred Parkland massacre in writings found in his bedroom, source says. So again, just a source, not necessarily verified from law enforcement, but so authorities searching the home of the 14-year-old accused of killing 4 people at a Georgia high school this week found documents that they believe he wrote referencing past school shootings. A law enforcement source familiar with the investigation told CNN. The source said that the writings were discovered in the bedroom of suspect Colt Gray and included references to the 2018 massacre at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida. The discovery, which could shed more light on a motive for the shooting, comes amid an emerging portrait of Gray's tumultuous family life in the years leading up to the deadly attack, revealed in a CNN review of court and law enforcement records, social media posts, and an interview with his grandfather. As that portrait has emerged, so have details about the investigation and authorities' pursuit of those they allege bear responsibility in the shooting. Gray told investigators, quote, "I did it," end quote, while being questioned. Barrow County Sheriff Judd Smith told CNN on Thursday. And while Gray faces 4 counts of felony murder, Gray's father, Colin, also has been arrested in connection with the shooting, accused of, quote, knowingly allowing his son to possess a weapon, end quote. Colin Gray was charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 8 counts of cruelty to children. And the one thing that I had wondered is why only 2 counts of second-degree murder? There were 4 people killed. So why only 2 counts of second-degree murder? That's what I was confused about. Pookie, that is true. There's too many shootings to keep the details straight. Yeah. And the fact that 13 students were arrested for making threats towards schools since this happened Tuesday, correct? Tuesday. No, Wednesday. Happened Wednesday. So since Wednesday, 13 other students have been arrested for making threats. And that's where, I mean, the parents know now. Possibly the parents didn't know, or their families, their guardians. Kids have, you know, a lot of different living arrangements. But that's where I would hope that the parents talk to their child. But then again, depending on home life, their parents may not care. They may make excuses for their child. Oh, thank you, Sinner. Okay, so it was the one in Maryland, which I will cover. I think I'll probably do a day live tomorrow, just because there's so many stories I want to talk about. I just, you know, this week was rough. First week back to school. So it was the 4th day of classes at the school, but it's first day there, which makes sense because Maryland starts school the same time as we do here in New York. Yeah, 13 healing time. Yep. And I'm going to try to find an article or something that goes more into depth with that, because that news clip I thought was longer than 27 seconds, but clearly I was mistaken. Okay, so we talked about that. So as for Colt Gray's family situation, his parents went through a bitter separation and custody dispute in recent years. They called law enforcement on each other. The family was evicted from at least one home, and Gray's mother was arrested on suspicion of keying her husband's car and drug possession. And I have read Mom has a lengthy criminal record. At the same time, Gray's mother and maternal grandfather have accused Gray's father of being verbally abusive toward his family for years. He was just a good kid, but he lived in an environment that was hostile. Charles Pahamis said of Colt Gray, his grandson, in an interview with CNN. His dad beat up on him. I mean, I'm not talking about physical, but screaming and hollering, and he did the same thing to my daughter. The grandfather said he had never seen Colt Gray show any kind of anger problems, but that the turbulent family life had affected the teenager, which I don't doubt that it did. But that's no reason or excuse to go into your school or any school and choose to hurt people. But then again, they say, the saying goes, hurt people hurt people. The grandfather said he had never seen Colt Gray show any kind of... Oh, wait, I read that. Sorry about that. Now, investigators seeking to understand the suspect's motive are looking into his family's previous contacts with the state's Child Protective Services Agency, the GBI director said Wednesday. The suspect's father told investigators this week he had purchased the gun used in the killings as a holiday present for his son in December 2023, according to 2 law enforcement sources with direct knowledge of the investigation. One source told CNN the AR-15 style rifle was purchased at a local gun store as a Christmas present. The other source described the gift as a holiday present. Either way, the dad gifted his son this gun. And it's my opinion that no child, let alone an adult other than military, needs to have this type of weapon, especially a child. Attempts to reach both of the suspects' parents for comment on Wednesday and Thursday were unsuccessful. Well, we know why, because Dad had been arrested on yesterday. CNN was working to determine whether Colt Gray and Colin Gray have legal representation. So that was kind of weird in court. The Colt had a male attorney. The dad had Miss Seagraves, but then Miss Seagraves had said that both were going to have, because of a conflict, they were being assigned new counsel. So either way, they do have legal representation. All my 7 children come to me or their father about anything. They know we will be there always. Yeah, and I mean, hey, Queen Bella, I feel, I remember, I mean, I was scared. I was scared of my dad, and not because he was mean or abusive or anything or like that. It was because I was scared because I would disappoint him, especially, and my mom. And I remember when I hit a parked car, not even close to this circumstance, but I hit a parked car, and I was so scared, so scared. But I went home and my mom's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" Because I'm like bawling. And I told her what happened. And so she's like, "It's fine. It's fine." I'm like, "Dad's going to kill me. Dad's going to kill me." And when Dad found out, I'll never forget, he said, "It's nothing duct tape can't fix." So here I was freaking out because, it was my first car. It was a gift for, my upcoming graduation, and I hit a parked car. And Dad said, "Nothing duct tape won't fix." So, but I know my circumstance is different. There may be, some kids who can't talk to their parents or their family at all. And that's really sad. That's really sad. Queen Bella, I agree. I don't think Dad expected to be arrested, honestly. But I did mean, I was talking to a coworker today about it, and she had seen in an article that in Georgia, it is illegal to purchase any weapon for a minor. And I didn't have time to look that up, but either way, this weapon was used to hurt people. And ultimately, but for the dad buying the gun, it probably wouldn't have happened. Let's see. Both Colt Gray's parents' relationships started out with promise. In 2011, shortly after he was born, his parents bought a small farm in Barrow County, Georgia, outside of the college town of Athens. They planned to create a nonprofit therapeutic riding school for local underprivileged children. His mother, Marcy Gray, who worked in industrial engineering, later wrote in a LinkedIn post. But those plans were derailed in part because her husband, Colin Gray, had at least 3 major back surgeries. The couple, who had 3 children, later sold the farm in 2019, according to property records. So that means Colt has 2 other siblings. After they moved, the family faced lawsuits from multiple landlords and were evicted from one home by a county sheriff's deputy in July 2022 for failing to pay rent, according to court records. As part of the eviction, sheriff's records show deputies collected 3 firearms, including an AR-15 and at least 1 hunting bow, and kept them for safekeeping. The weapons were later released to owner, the documents say. Later that year, Marcy Gray wrote on social media that she had left her husband. "Finally separated from my abusive husband of almost 14 years, she wrote in one LinkedIn comment on a post from December 2022. "Hardest shit I've ever done, but we're in good hands. I packed myself and my babies up and relocated to my hometown in South Georgia." Gray added in another post in May 2023, "We are all good and my kids are thriving." So that was only like about a year and a half ago. School shooting threat investigated. The same month. So this is May 2023. So now that I know the date, because I didn't realize it was that close. So in May is when the threat was investigated by the FBI, and Dad still gifted him a weapon 6 months later. 7 months later. Willow, he could have used a knife, but knives don't kill people as readily as guns. If he had used a knife, in my opinion, 4 people dead and 9 people injured, it would have been a lot less. It would have been a lot less. But then that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. The same month, however, law enforcement agents were investigating 13-year-old Colt Gray in connection with a school shooting threat. Investigators with the Jackson County Sheriff's Office interviewed Colt and his father about a threat on the online chat platform Discord to commit a school shooting, documents obtained through a public records request show. Colt Gray denied making the threat, an investigation report said. Well, no kidding, he's going to deny it. He probably knew it was wrong. He didn't want to get in trouble. I mean, if you track a comment to someone's home, it's clear that they made the threat. I don't understand. But I'm not FBI, so I'm not FBI. A Discord spokesperson told CNN on Wednesday that the platform removed an account, quote, believed to be associated with Gray in May 2023 for violating Discord's policy against extremism. And people talk about red flags and, how didn't they know? They should have known. Just like, if this cult did idolize Nicholas Cruz. Nicholas Cruz gave signs too. He made videos and posted them online. I mean, to me, it was clear. In Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, that should have never happened. Never. Because someone saw Nicholas Cruz in the parking lot, knew he didn't belong there, and did nothing about it. And he was still allowed to go on campus and do what he did. Colin Gray told investigators he had hunting rifles in the house and that Colt is allowed to use them when supervised, but does not have unfettered access to them. So I had initially heard this before Dad was arrested. And some of the reports that, there were weapons, but, he couldn't use them at all times. Well, clearly he was able to get the weapon he used on Wednesday. So how is that? And I was really sad to learn that this high school did not have metal detectors. They did not have metal detectors. And this kid was able to, just like Columbine, was able to get this weapon in unnoticed. The case was later cleared because the tip could not be substantiated. Right, and it had quoted no probable cause. Transcripts from the interview and a subsequent phone call show that Colin Gray said his son was getting picked on at school, with other students pinching him and touching him, just ridiculed him day after day after day. He also said that he was trying to teach him about firearms and safety and how to do it all and get him interested in the outdoors, in part to get him away from the video games. And I don't discredit the fact that he may have been getting picked on at school and been physically assaulted and taunted, because I see it every day. It is, I'm not sure the word. I do not tolerate it in my classroom. And we have in New York, it's called Dignity for All Students Act. I don't think it's nationwide. It could be, but that has to do with harassment, bullying, and, you know, I haven't had to fill out many DASA forms since I began teaching, but I have had to, because it's some of what I see is, I mean, I wish I could say things, but I'm a professional and I cannot say certain things when I'm at school, but it's really sad. Either way, not okay to take a weapon to school to hurt people. He knows the seriousness of weapons and what they can do and how to use them and not use them, Colin Gray said. In his interview, Colin Gray told investigators that he had separated from his wife, who took their 2 younger children with her. The suspect's father said that Colt, the oldest of the 3 siblings, had some problems at middle school in Jackson County, but had since moved to another school and it has gotten a lot better. So that answers my question. I had wondered why Colt was with dad if mom had written that she had brought all her children with her to where she was. So it seems like he changed schools and it had gotten a lot better in middle school. We don't have metal detectors, but the kids are required to have clear bags. Yeah, and I would assume, again, I don't like guns. I would rather not have them around. But I just think how it wouldn't fit in a book bag, obviously. So he had to have somehow gotten into school with it on his person. And I would think that Georgia is still pretty warm. So to wear like a big, heavy coat, or I mean, I have no idea. No idea. Unless they are allowed duffel bags, which is what they did in Columbine. Nicholas Cruz had a duffel bag. Hey, Twist, I agree. History of concern, probably felt abandoned. Or, I mean, it had to have been a pretty tough place to be. But if dad was honest and saying, it had gotten better with him going to a different school, that could be. It definitely could be. Gray was only enrolled in the Jackson County School District between February and August 2022, said Edward Hooper, the spokesperson for the district. Jackson County is next to Barrow County, where Colt Gray is accused of killing 2 fellow students and 2 teachers. And that's where mom was February and August 2022. But let me go back. So I wonder where he was registered the rest of the time. In October 2023, Barrow County Sheriff's deputies responded to a wellness check on the Gray family after Marcy Gray reported that she hadn't heard from her husband or their children in 2 weeks. Colin Gray, who was at their residence, said all of their children were with him, a sheriff's deputy wrote in a report. This is so confusing, because in May 2023, the mom had all 3 kids. And at that point, she was divorced. Okay, we'll just keep reading. Yes, Twist. They didn't question the dad, so to speak. They questioned Cole for a threat traced to his home made via Discord. Colin Gray gave the deputy a paper from the Georgia Division of Family and Children's Services that showed, quote, a safety plan was put in place for him to have the children with him, end quote, and Marcy Gray, quote, could not see them without supervision, end quote. Okay, so there must have been some type of custody change between May 2023 and October 2023. A spokesperson from the Georgia Department of Human Services said Thursday she could not comment on the case due to confidentiality laws. But Georgia Bureau of Investigation Director Chris Hosey said at a press conference Wednesday that the Bureau was aware that the division had previously had some previous contacts with the Gray family, and we are pursuing that avenue as well to see if that has any connection with today's incident. In November 2023, Colin Gray called law enforcement and accused his wife of keying a truck he drove for his work at a construction company, writing abuse and liar on it, according to a sheriff's report. 2 days later, police arrested Marcy Gray at a Walmart in Winder due to an active warrant from another county. Police found meth, fentanyl, pain pills, and a glass pipe in her car, and she and another man who was in the vehicle were arrested. After being arrested, Marcy Gray admitted keying her husband's truck, saying she, quote, lost it after he refused to let her see her kids. She said on social media that, right, and that was in this, let me just scroll up, because, oh, here. So May 2023 is when she took her kids to her hometown in South Georgia. So she separated in December 2022, had relocated in May 2023. By October 2023, dad had the kids, and mom could only see them with supervision, allegedly. Well, not allegedly, because apparently it was a paper from the Division of Family and Children Services. Okay. Marcy Gray pleaded guilty the following month to criminal damage to property, criminal trespass, family violence, and use of a license plate to conceal identity, and was sentenced to a total of 5 months probation after serving more than a month in custody. As part of her guilty plea, she was barred from contacting her husband, except through a third party for divorce negotiations and custody discussions. A friend of Marcy Gray, who asked not to be named for privacy, told CNN that the legal trouble she faced was not the Marcy we know, calling her a sweet, caring, and smart woman who had changed. Something happened in that relationship that went wrong. According to Bahamas, Marcy Gray's father, she lost custody of her children after failing a drug test, moved back in with her parents in South Georgia, and is going through rehab. Bahamas said he had never thought his grandson would be capable of such a deadly attack. I don't think anyone believes that someone would be capable of such a thing. I understand that Colt chose to do what he did, and I understand he has to pay for it. But I'm telling you, the environment that he lived in, you put somebody in a situation like that for 10 or 11 years, guess what's going to happen? Nothing good. Well, I also know of people who have lived through those situations, and they have not gone into a school and hurt people. They have not gone into a grocery store to hurt people. Discord account linked to suspects shared plans for mass shooting. The Discord account that the FBI had linked to Colt Gray last year referenced plans for a future mass shooting and shared screenshots of firearms, according to documents obtained by CNN. I'm committing a mass shooting and I'm waiting a good 2 to 3 years, stated the account user, according to screenshots included in an FBI incident report from May 2023 obtained by CNN. I can't kill myself yet because I'm not contributing anything to culture. I need to go out knowing I did. I'm waiting a good 2 to 3 years. Well, it was less than 2 years. The account referenced Adam Lanza, the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooter, and in separate posts shared a desire to target an elementary school and expressed frustration that transgender people were being accepted in society. Above a photograph of 2 firearms, the account posted, "I'm ready." And I'm curious, because I hadn't known about the photo of firearms. I'm curious if the photos of firearms were actually photos of firearms in the home. I would assume the FBI would have looked into that. But that's interesting. The FBI tip was shared with the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, which closed the investigation after finding that, quote, "the user behind the Discord account that made the threat cannot be substantiated," end quote. A Discord spokesperson told CNN on Wednesday the platform removed an account. Oh, and that was, I already read that. They put that in there twice. But the account believed to be associated with Gray in May 2023 was removed for violating Discord's policy against extremism. It's crazy. And I am going to skip over that audio just because it did talk about it in that article. So now I have just a few videos about the victims. So not only survivors who knew the victims of the shooting, but students who were there who, if not for their teachers, may not have made it out alive. And one of the students in one of these clips was one of those injured in this incident. So there are, let's see, 1, 2. So I believe I have 5 short videos about the victims and the survivors. And the last video I have is something that I hope that all teachers all over this country will be able to get, because I believe it's what saved lives in this incident. Hey, Caudle, thanks for being here. Stopping in, I should say. All right.
Short time ago, we spoke to another student. His name is Isaac Sanguma. He was walking back to his class at the time of the shooting. Isaac, thank you so much for joining us. First, let me say I'm so sorry that this has happened yet again in this country. I'm so sorry that we have to talk to you under these circumstances. You know, when the story broke yesterday, it was tough to hear. Once again, here we go. I can't imagine what it was like for you who was there at the time. Describe for us, if you will, where you were, what you heard, and what you saw.
So basically, it was like around 10:20, and I asked my teacher to go use the restroom. And I was going to the restroom. I went to go see AP. So I went to go see an AP, and she said she was dealing with something very important.
So AP, I believe he's referencing the assistant principal. I'm just assuming that, but just based on AP, I would assume assistant principal.
So as I'm walking around, I go to the atrium and I see 3 cops. And as I'm walking by, I'm walking back. I go to the restroom, and I don't know. I think I heard like a boom, boom, but at first it wasn't like a gunshot. Like, it didn't come to my mind as it was a gunshot. My instincts was just to run back to class. Plus, I seen like red sirens, red lights in the ceiling and stuff like that. So I just ran back to class, and I seen my teacher and other teachers getting their students that were drinking water and in the bathroom, getting their kids to get in the classroom.
And so what he was talking about, and I actually brought this up at work today, because we have an app on our phone that if something like this were to happen, we hear gunshots, we hear or see any type of violence other than, well, really anything violent, I guess. We have an app on our phone that we can activate a signal that goes throughout the entire building and automatically contacts law enforcement. But I thought today, because I don't always have my phone on me, I only really have my phone when I need to, you know, say that a student is going to the bathroom or student is going to the office, kind of just letting people know what's happening. If I need assistance from our support team, I would put that in Google Chat. But I don't have my phone at all times. So this is actually the video I have at the end. Well, actually, you know what? I think, yeah, we'll wait till the end. But it's the teachers in at this school at Apalachee High School had a badge, so their ID badge, that was equipped with a panic button, so to speak, where if they hit the panic button 4 times, it would alert administration that something was wrong. If they continued and hit it another 4 times for a total of 8, it automatically put the school in lockdown. And that's what those red lights were. It automatically had those red flashing lights that told teachers, we need to lock down. We need to hide. We need to get away from the door, windows, etc. It's just, I hope every school in this nation is able to get those types of key cards, because I don't doubt that that's what saved lives, because if not for those red lights saying something bad is happening, it could have been a lot worse, even though it was already a lot worse.
And it didn't feel real.
You know, so we have heard that we have lost 2 teachers and 2 students. Did you know any of the people who were no longer with us?
Yes, one of the teachers was my algebra teacher. She was my 4th period teacher. That same morning, she walked up to me, and I had threw up yesterday, so she asked me if I was okay. And she was asking me to come to class on time because, you know, my class is like right across the whole school, so I'd be coming to class late. She was begging me to come to class on time today, and I didn't know that was gonna be my last time seeing her and talking to her.
And I can't imagine this kid. He's clearly still in shock, but he had his teacher, 4th period, which was probably just before this happened. And to have to go back to school and your teacher isn't there, I don't think I could deal.
I know, Isaac. So how are you processing this?
It don't feel real. I just can't believe my teacher, somebody that I see every day. You know, it just don't feel real.
Before you go, Isaac, tell us what she was like. What was her name? What was she like?
Miss Army, Miss Army, when I first came into class, Miss Army, she be telling corny jokes. And at the time, it's just like, you know, when you're a student, you're just like, what is she talking about? But now it's just like, dang, like, you know. And Miss Army, she was real nice. I'm not gonna lie, my freshman year, I didn't pass algebra, so I'm retaking algebra my junior year. And she never made me feel ashamed about it. She never made me feel dumb. You could get a question wrong on the board, and she's not gonna make you feel dumb. She really make you, you know, she'll make you feel welcome. And all she do is just tell random jokes, and, you know, she really make you feel welcome, and she'll help you out. I'm not really good at math, but I just got the understanding of math just this year, being 3 weeks of school.
Isaac,
really
I know
nice.
this. I know this. You will never forget Miss Ermy. You will never forget the day yesterday. I'm glad you're okay. I think you still have a lot of processing to do. I'm very sorry this has happened to you. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I know. I think we're all still processing. You know, the crawl came on the screen. I just keep thinking, we all think this, how many more stories do we have to report like this? I don't want us ever to become desensitized to it.
Right.
But
it happens so often.
And I think in some respects, some of us are desensitized. I'm not. Every time I see it, I think what Gail said, not again. Not again. And I was just thinking, actually, when she was talking, we hadn't heard of a school shooting in a while, and that's because school was out for summer. And now this school, 4 weeks in, has this happen.
Often here.
I thought Vice President Harris said it right. It doesn't have to be this way.
It doesn't have to be this way. And hearing that young man talk.
Am I muted or the video's muted? Or nothing? Because I just saw that you took your messages away. I'm muted or they're muted? Because neither should be.
Talk about his teacher really brings it home for me. That's a real human being there. Yeah. And what we got 5
Kids are
minutes.
going back to school.
We got 5 minutes into the school year before summer's over, and this is a reality in American life. And does it have to be? Well, we're going to talk about that on the presidential campaign stage as well.
Yeah. And I did see, so Twist had asked, Emmy, does your school still do fire and tornado drills? We do not do tornado drills. We do not do tornado drills. However, they did actually bring that up at our first day, our meetings with the superintendent. He actually did mention that we may have to start doing tornado drills because we've had more tornadoes up here the past year, 2 years than we've had since, I can remember. So 40 years. So we do still do fire drills though. Yes. And active. So I believe we have to have so many fire drills a year, and we have to have so many lockdown drills a year. Some announced, some unannounced. Okay, so y'all can hear me. All right. Okay, so this is one of the victims. His sister spoke about losing her brother. And I just see these kids' faces and even the teachers. But like the sheriff said at the first press conference they had in regards to this, it's one thing to hurt adults, but to hurt children. And actually, it wasn't this press conference. It was the press conference in regards to the quadruple homicide in just outside of Rochester. So I apologize for that correction, but it's true. It's one thing to do to adults, but for this kid to walk into his own school with his classmates and his teachers, because he was in 9th grade, the victims were the same age, so I would assume they were also in 9th grade. And I hope this Cole Gray talks. I hope he says why he did it and why he chose to do what he did where he did it. And where I'm at my school, our doors have to be closed and locked at all times. We don't always adhere to that, especially in the morning when kids are just coming in. We have our doors propped open and we're in the hall, welcoming them. But throughout the day, our doors have to be locked and closed at all times.
Learning more about the life of one of the victims of the Apalachee High School shooting, 14-year-old Mason Skirmerhorn was one of the 2 students killed. Fox 5's Brittany Edney spoke exclusively with his sister, and Brittany joins us now to share family pictures and details about this young man.
Yeah, that's right, Christine. His sister shared with us a lot of home pictures and videos, everything from things that they like to do with each other to family vacations. She says that she has been going through an unexplainable amount of grief, but still she wants the world to know a little bit more about her baby brother.
And I understand the media wants to learn more about the victims. They want to ask questions. But even when this first happened, they were trying to interview parents. They were trying to interview kids. And a lot of kids did talk, and I think it's therapeutic for kids to talk about it because it's traumatic. It's scary. But the media, and I get it. They want to be first. They want to get the story first. They want it, with CNN, they got exclusive audio from the FBI interview. They obtained documents for this and that. But we're only 2 days out, just over 48 hours from this incident. And I just feel like families should be given a little more grace. That's what I think. But in the same respect, they could tell the media, no, we're not ready. We're not ready. But it's important to talk about the victims because they're what's important here.
Happy birthday to you. In his short life, 14-year-old Mason Skirmerhorn loved all things fun and games.
PS5 VR headset. He likes playing Roblox and Genshin.
His sister Alana remembers the happy times they shared together.
Oh,
but Mason was taken from her in a senseless act of violence at Apalachee High School.
Live your life for him.
Surrounded by friends, she wants the world to know about her little brother. That infectious smile and laughter.
That he loved everyone. That no matter what they had, what disabilities, he loved everyone for them.
And his love of all things playful.
What?
Tragically, this sister has lost a younger sibling with big brother energy.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be different.
You are genuinely so strong.
In this small town, there are no shortage of hugs or support after the unthinkable.
It says that we're in it together. And it means a lot because it means everyone's looking out for each other.
There has also been a GoFundMe account that's been set up to help this family during all of this, troubling times that they're going to experience not only now, but in the future as well. You can find that on our website. All you need to do is go to fox5atlanta.com and you'll be able to find the link and, learn more about what the family has said as well. And again, if you would like to donate anything in any way, you have that opportunity.
And I know this isn't on my list, but I hadn't seen this video, the short little video before about the Miss Ermy. So we're going to watch that next. But before that, they had mentioned the GoFundMes. And through one of the news sources, I actually think it was Fox 5, I was able to find this hyperlink to GoFundMe, which they have how to help Georgia high school shooting. They have all of the verified GoFundMes on one page. So they had mentioned one in the last clip, and here it has all of those that are verified. So here's one for Miss Ermy. Taylor Jones, who was injured in the attack. And actually, I want to read these because so this one says, it is with heavy hearts that we announce the tragic passing of our beloved teacher, wife, daughter, and friend, Christina Ermy. She was a teacher at the Apalachee High School in Winder, Georgia, where the shooting occurred on this tragic day. She dedicated her life to shaping the minds and hearts of students in the community. To honor her legacy, we are coming together to help her family during this tragic time. The funds raised will go directly to assist with funeral expenses and any additional support the family may need as they navigate this heartbreaking loss. This fundraiser is also done with the blessing of Father George Ascente, priest of St. Constantine and Helen Romanian Orthodox Church. And then they also have it in, I'm not sure what language that is. So that again is Christine Ermy. So sad. And then, so Taylor Jones was injured. Oh my gosh, look at this little girl. Thank you to everyone for all of your love and prayers through this time. On September 4th, there was a school shooting at Apalachee High School, and my sister Taylor Jones was shot and life flighted to Grady Hospital. Grady took amazing care of her, and she is stable after a long surgery. We still have a long road ahead of us with more surgeries and extensive PT. Thank you all for the love and support. We still have a long road ahead of us. Anything helps, prayers included. Ugh, that poor girl. So here we have Melanie. Let's see what this one says. Melanie, support Melanie's recovery from tragic school shooting. Aw, therapy dog. That's so sweet. Hello, my name is Hannah, and my dearest friend's sweet baby girl was impacted in the devastating shooting. Melanie is a 15-year-old victim of the Apalachee High School shooting in Winder, Georgia on September 4th, 2024. She has 3 other precious siblings and a loving mother and father who are absolutely devastated. Melanie was shot in the shoulder and is at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta and will have to have 2 surgeries on her shoulder as the bullet broke the bone that connects the shoulder to the arm. Melanie's life is going to be forever changed. Her childhood has been stripped from her. She's a normal young teen who loves to be with friends, play soccer, and spend time with family, and none of those hobbies will ever be the same now. Please consider donating to help with the overflow of medical bills, supporting the family, therapy for the children and parents, and for any other financial burdens that this tragic event has caused. If you cannot financially give, please share this GoFundMe and pray. Thank you in advance for helping. All funds received will be transferred directly to Jackie Garcia, Melanie's mother. So sad. So here is one for David Phoenix, who was one of the staff. He was a math teacher. My name is Alexandra Hammock, and my family and I went to church with the Phoenixes almost my entire life. They are a precious and sweet family, and I am heartbroken for them and the entire Apalachee High School family. This narrative is paraphrased based on Facebook updates from his daughter, Katie. Mr. David is one of the survivors of the school shooting at Apalachee High School this week. And this is where social media isn't always the best source. They actually had Mr. Phoenix as being one of those who were killed. That's what was circulating Twitter, is that Mr. Phoenix was actually one of those killed. Mr. David is one of the survivors of the school shooting at Apalachee High School this week. Mr. David was shot protecting his students with Ricky Aspinwall, one of the teachers/coaches who sadly did not survive. They were together when Ricky was shot and killed. Mr. David was shot twice, once in his hip and once through his foot. He has had 2 successful surgeries so far and has been stable. He is expected to spend at least 1 more day in the ICU and is projected to not need any more surgeries. He has begun physical therapy. I ask you to help us support the Phoenix family as they continue the healing process. This will be a long road, and through this fund, hopefully we can alleviate one of the burdens they will face in the coming days, weeks, and months. These funds will be transferred directly to the Phoenix family. Yeah, healing time. Last thing you expect as a teacher is to never come home because of a student. But one thing that I do tell my students is that if it's, obviously I don't want to die. I love my life. But if it came between them and me, I would take the wrath so that they had a chance at surviving. And I don't doubt that this is what these teachers in this circumstance did as well. So then this is assist. Okay, so this is Shayna Aspinwall is the see, and as much, I mean, all GoFundMes are important, but how is it that one of the GoFundMes has almost $400,000 and yet Mr. Phoenix doesn't even have 5,000? So it says, we are all in shock over the news that Ricky Aspinwall lost his life protecting his students. Please consider donating to help Shayna Aspinwall with expenses she will have to incur and make sure her two precious babies are taken care of. I would love to raise enough to provide Shayna the opportunity to stay at home with her girls. We love the Aspinwalls. Thank you in advance for helping. All funds received will be transferred directly to Shayna to pay life expenses and afford to take time off work. And then we have Christian, who was one of the students who were killed. So sad. My name is Lisette Angulo. I am Christian Angulo's oldest sister. Unfortunately, my baby brother was one of the victims of the school shooting at Apalachee High School. He was only 14 years old. He was a very good kid and very sweet and so caring. He was so loved by many. His loss was so sudden and unexpected. We are truly heartbroken. He really didn't deserve this. We kindly ask if you could help us with any donations to help us with expenses for his funeral ceremony due to his loss being so sudden. We appreciate anything you can give. We also would appreciate any prayers at this time. Thank you. And it says donation protected. And then we have, there's just a general fund for the victims, classroom of compassion. Okay, so that's for honoring the victims. And then here's Mason, who we just saw a video of. So this says, please consider donating to help support my dear friend and her family as they are going through this difficult loss of her baby brother, Mason. He was the sweetest, most loving soul with the biggest smile and will be missed dearly. Anything you can give is appreciated. Please keep the sweet family in your prayers and help out if you can. Thank you so much. So this, again, I did share this link in the chat. It is also in the description of this video. If anyone is interested in either donating or sharing the GoFundMes, GoFundMe did have that all in one place. Let me go back here. Hey, Grits, thanks for being here. Winder is my hometown. I live here and my son graduated from Apalachee. We are heartbroken. There are still a lot of questions that need to be answered by law enforcement, FBI, and the previous school system. I feel that even with, I followed the Marjorie Stone Douglas from start to finish. And it had been said that Nicholas Cruz was supposed to be working with a journalist, author, something, or some type of, psychologist to try and determine why he did what he did, things like that. And I don't know if you would ever truly know why, but the fact that, this Cole, he was still in the school when he surrendered. when the police officers, the resource officers at that, approached him, he surrendered. He clearly didn't want to die, because he could have fired at the officers. So I hope that he does talk, that somehow these 4 people didn't die in vain, and that those 9 who were injured in it weren't injured for, well, it was really for no reason. I don't think anything that Cole could say would justify his actions. And I understand all kids are different, but I know kids who have a home life currently who are 14 years old, but they're not violent. They're not saying, I'm going to go hurt people in a school. They have to come from families that aren't a good support system. Not necessarily, Pookie. I mean, is it the norm? Probably. But I see kids, here's an example. This kid, last year, one of the kids was really sick, like really sick. And he needed a ride home. So they call home, and mom for some reason said she couldn't come. So 2 staff members drove this kid home, because if not, he would have had to stay at school severely ill. And when they got there, mom said she didn't feel like driving. She didn't feel like driving, even though her son was vomiting, severely ill. So my point is, this kid, he's such a good kid, such a good kid. He's polite, he's respectful, sweet, wants to do well in school, creative, but his family clearly doesn't support him at all. So I think it can go both ways, and I'm just speaking from experience, but I feel like, every situation is different, but it's my opinion that no situation warrants someone hurting people to go into a school and do what they did. Do what he did, I should say. Well, all of them. Dylan Klebold, Eric Harris, Nicholas Cruz, Ethan Crumley, now Cole Gray. The list goes on. No reason at all. Yeah, exactly, Queen Bella. There is no excuse. None. He surrendered immediately. The paternal grandmother called the school and talked with them when he was enrolled here. He had only been enrolled for 2 weeks, and Barrow did not have his paperwork. Interesting. I'm sure a lot more is going to come out, and I definitely will be following this trial if and when it does go to trial. Yes, Sinner. Unfortunately, tons of kids being raised in similar circumstances. Almost none of them will ever consider doing such a thing. Yep. Like I said, I have students whose life is, not to compare to what we know at this point of Cole Gray, but their life is not as supportive as Cole's. He had his dad. He has his mom. And yes, it was tumultuous. Dad is allegedly abusive, verbally, things like that. But there are some students in much dire situations that do not resort to violence. They may throw words at you, some vulgarity, things like that, but they would never hurt anyone. They hurt people with their words. Oh, listen, Grits, the FBI, I still take issue with their investigation last year and the because initially I thought it was just the FBI, but then in the CNN article we just read, it had said law enforcement had deemed that they weren't able to substantiate the claim. Well, clearly there was something serious going on. I agree, Healing Time. They need to be taught conflict resolution. They need to learn how to use their words, coping skills. Yep, I agree, Jingles. You can be the best parent in the world and still have a child that is no good. Nicholas Cruz, his adoptive mother was a great woman. She did everything she could for him and his adoptive brother. And he still did what he did. Yeah, May 2023. And, I had said in the Discord post, it had said it would happen in 2 to 3 years. Well, it's just shy of 2 years. It's just, I just don't know. So this one again is about the victims. That's what's important here.
From seeing fellow classmates.
4 people who won't be going home.
And also educators shot, to then having to climb over and walk past bodies of victims in the hallway and just piles of blood. These students here at this school have just been.
I know like drama sells, it gets the views, but to use an analogy such as piles of blood, come on. And that makes me think of Marjorie Stoneman. There were videos of that with, they had cameras everywhere and they had students videotaping. But I mean, just say they had to walk by their teachers and friends.
Been through a traumatic and violent day today. I can tell you that in the past hour, when law enforcement was giving an update on everything that happened, Governor Brian Kemp was here. He says that this community is going to get any and all resources needed during this time.
When someone preys on kids, it's tragic. Like I said earlier, hate is not going to prevail in our county and hate's not going to prevail in our state. And pure evil did what happened today. That's all I can tell you. I want to continue to say that.
This hits home for us. Being from Athens, just down the road, Marty and I having a daughter that taught first grade just a few years ago. This is everybody's worst nightmare.
New details from investigators include confirmation that there's no evidence of additional shooters, nor any type of list of schools that have been targeted. This active shooter call came in this morning at around 10:20, and we're told that law enforcement got here in minutes and that a school resource officer engaged the suspect, 14-year-old Colt Gray, whom surrendered and was taken into custody. But not before 4 people were killed and 9 were injured in the shooting. Multiple students told us how the shooting was focused on the J Hall location, which is where a lot of the 9th graders are. The GBI did identify the victims as Richard Aspinwall and Christina Irami. They are both math teachers, and also students Mason Schermerhorn and Christian Angulo. Those are both 14-year-old boys. We did receive these photos from Mason's family that show him at his birthday, blowing out the candles and the cake. lake right there, and also in another one with a loved one. He is making some funny faces in that photo as well. We also spoke with a friend of one of the other victims, Christian. We are told that he met his longtime pal in middle school.
I was just like, and I did notice in the clip that we had watched about Mason that they had interviewed Mason's sister. He was in the background. This boy was in the background.
Like, what's going on? And then I checked the family group chat, and then there's my sister saying that there's a shooting at Apalachee, and that's how I just was like, this isn't real, this can't be happening. And so I started asking other people if it was true that he had passed away, because I just wanted to know. I was in denial, you know, because you would never believe that somebody that you knew would pass away just like that.
One sophomore told me that she was in the hallway when the shooting started, and her math teacher went and opened the door to see what all the commotion was about, and that's when he was shot. She says he is a beloved educator.
It was scary because I don't know, like so much emotions were going on, and I was shaky for a while. I don't know, I was scared.
You said this was your math teacher.
Yeah.
Being someone that you know and that you go to class with every day, what is going on right now mentally, emotionally?
I don't know. It's because I feel sad, and I don't. It's because he was a favorite. He was so chill.
Law enforcement says that all of the 9 victims who were injured during the shooting and taken to area hospitals, that everyone is going to survive. We're also told that the suspect, Gray, is currently being held at the Barrow County Jail. Reporting live, Brittany Endy, Fox.
All right. And so speaking of, because I had seen the comment, where did it go? Here, at least 3 other kids have been arrested from surrounding counties due to statements they made saying they would finish the job. I don't know about finishing the job, but 13 arrests had been made. And I did find an article that's a little more in depth than what we were able to get from that one video that was only 20 seconds long. So this says arrests made following 3 separate South Georgia school threats. Updated 2 hours ago. At least 3 arrests have been made in connection to 3 separate school threats across South Georgia. On Thursday, a Brooks County 13-year-old was arrested by the GBI in connection to online shooting threats made at Brooks County Middle School. He is now charged with felony, terroristic threats, and computer trespass. On Friday, 2 different threats were posed to Valdosta Middle School and Crisp County High School. 17-year-old Morgan Travelstead was arrested on terroristic threats and acts after making online threats to Crisp County High School. An 11-year-old female at Valdosta Middle School was arrested on a terroristic threats charge in connection to shooting threats made. 11. Like, what 11-year-old? And I hope that the families, the parents, the guardians, whomever these children live with, have a serious conversation with them, especially this 11-year-old. Like, it's concerning, because if they're going to call and do something, like just threaten it, I guarantee they may act on it. All 3 threats come following the deadly shooting at Apalachee High School that left 4 dead and 9 injured. Other schools in Georgia have also experienced threats. Okay, so let's go to this one then. Several teens arrested for school threats. All right, stop it. For school threats across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia. Several teenagers have been arrested across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia for making threats to schools just days after a deadly shooting at a Barrow County high school. The arrests followed the Wednesday shooting at Apalachee High School. Young people, they think they're invisible. They can say and do anything they want to, and we have to hold them accountable, said Jackson County Sheriff Janice Mangum. Atlanta News First has compiled the arrest reports of these incidences. All have been reported in the last 48 hours. Yeah, I agree, Keto Kim. Senseless. And for what? Pookie, I would be too. It's in the back of my head every day. Every day. And Bert, I'm not sure if you heard me say hi to you earlier, but thanks for being here. Yeah, these types of thoughts shouldn't even be in the minds of such children. I agree. I have grandchildren in school in a very rural, unsecured school system. Our, quote, good old boy school board doesn't see the need for security since that doesn't happen here yet. Yeah, and, I think most schools are locked at all times. You have to be buzzed in. I don't know for sure. But I definitely believe schools need metal detectors. They need to have, all of the doors locked. You need to be buzzed in. A separate alcove apart from the school, similar to, was it Nashville? Which, speaking of the Nashville shooting at I believe it was it was a Catholic school, some type of private school. I don't know if it was Catholic, but some more pages of that shooter's journal have been leaked. So that was on my list to look at later. Okay, you don't have metal detectors. Just push the button to be let in. Hey, Whoopsie Daisy, how are you? Good to see you. Hi, Sinner. Okay, all of the schools around you have, Jingles, all of the schools around me have locks and you have to be buzzed in after showing ID. So it was a Catholic school. All right, thank you. It's like somebody said earlier, there's so many, it's hard to keep the details straight. Oh, so you have an open campus, Keto Kim? Kind of like similar to, yeah, like an open campus. Or I know when I lived out west, they were doing renovations to the main building. So they had these trailers where class was held. And it was just like a trailer with a door that you would go in. And it was all outside. There was no security, nothing. You were just outside in these trailers. But again, that was probably 20 years ago, give or take. All right. So, oh, wait. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I wasn't even sharing the tab that I was reading from. I'm so sorry. So this is the one where it was several teens arrested for school threats across Metro Atlanta, North Georgia. Sorry about that. I thought I was sharing this, and clearly I wasn't. I just realized it. So here's what we know about the arrests. On Wednesday, a 15-year-old boy was arrested in Jackson County after police said he made statements about the Apalachee High School shooting and was, quote, planning on finishing the job to shoot another school in Jackson County, end quote. He was taken to the Regional Youth Detention Center in Gainesville. Okay, so there's someone who said that they were gonna finish it by shooting another school. On Thursday, just a day after the shooting, Gainesville police said a 14-year-old faces charges of terroristic threats and disruption of the operation of a public school. The teen is being held in a regional youth detention center. A 12-year-old boy in Athens was charged with terroristic threats after threats were made on social media. Police said posts included images of firearms and the names of schools in Clark County. He was detained by the Department of Juvenile Justice. 2 other teenagers were arrested in Hall County for online threats. Jamin Allen Justice, 17, was charged as an adult with terroristic threats and disruption or interference with operation of public schools. A 13-year-old boy was also charged with terroristic threats and acts and disruption or interference with operation of public schools. Justice was taken to the Hall County Jail. The 13-year-old was taken to the Regional Youth Detention Center in Gainesville. Holy shnikes. 2 teens were arrested in 2 separate threat incidents in Forsyth County. A 15-year-old boy and a 14-year-old boy were charged with terroristic threats. The 14-year-old was also charged with disruption of schools. Both were taken to the Regional Youth Detention Center in Gainesville. So all of these boys, boys so far. Was there a girl yet? I don't think so. All of these boys are going to be some of them are going to be in the same place together. Okay, so there's so many here. Okay, so 2 teens were arrested in 2 separate threat incidents. Oh, I read that one, Forsyth County. Okay. A 13-year-old boy was arrested in Newton County for threats made to Eastside High School, according to the Newton County Sheriff's Office. He was charged with terroristic threats and is in custody of the juvenile court system. On Friday, a juvenile was detained over making potential threats of school violence, according to the Oconee County Sheriff's Office. A 14-year-old was arrested in connection to school threats made in DeKalb County, according to the school district. The district said a 12-year-old was issued a summons for contributing to the threats. Students at Archer and Meadow Creek High Schools in Gwinnett County were arrested for making terroristic threats, according to the district. Doesn't say how many. A 13-year-old World Language Academy middle school student was arrested after making threats in front of his classmates, according to the Hall County Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office said the student said he was, quote, going to be the next school shooter, end quote, and that he had a, quote, mag in his backpack. Tony Lockard, police chief for Gwinnett County Public Schools, said they investigated roughly 300 tips. 300! Come on. 300 tips of school threats since the Apalachee shooting. And this was updated 2 hours ago. So let's say 7 Eastern. So in 60 hours, 300 incidents, 300 tips in 60 hours. That's 5 tips an hour. Which is 1 every 12 minutes. Every 12 minutes, someone is possibly making a threat towards a school. There is a very heightened sense of awareness, uneasiness, nervousness amongst students, parents, community, which is completely understood. Any threats that come in, even prior to the horrific incident at Apalachee, we take every incident as being credible, as they should. On Friday, district leaders urged parents to monitor their students' social media accounts and talk with them about what's appropriate to post surrounding school shootings. Yeah, exactly. 300. 1 every 12 minutes since Wednesday. So we're just talking since Wednesday, they've had 300. 300. And this is in Georgia. Only in Georgia. 1 every 12 minutes. All right, so we have 2 more videos. One of them is one that was from earlier this evening. And then the last one is about, someone had mentioned AP, the GPS ID badges with built-in alarm. Yes, and we're going to actually, I had mentioned that earlier just because one of the students who had survived had said he knew he had to get back to class because he saw like the red lights. And I think every school across this nation needs to have them. That's just my opinion. But,
thank you. And of course, there is still so much focus on the lives taken away on Wednesday.
And so here again, we have Richard Aspinwall, 39, Christina Ermy, 53, Christian Angulo, 14, and Mason Schermerhorn, 14.
Math teachers Richard Aspinwall and Christina
read it,
Ermy, and 14-year-olds Mason Schermerhorn and Christian Angulo. As the community of Winder continues to reel from this shocking tragedy, they're also now looking to each other for strength as they try and move forward. In Love to Live's Molly Oak, continuing our live team coverage outside the high school tonight, where a makeshift memorial continues to grow. Molly.
Yeah, we've watched as students and community members have brought balloons, flowers, and just notes of hope. It's an example of the support that one student tells me means so much to her, because earlier this week she was hiding in a dark classroom waiting for help after her teacher was shot. Signs of strength sit in the town of Winder. Messages of remembrance mark the bouquets of flowers outside the school.
I told my mom I love her and that there was someone with a gun.
Letters of love from one 15-year-old to her family, sent from her phone on Wednesday morning.
And then I told my sisters, I love y'all so much. There's someone here with a gun, and I just want to tell you I love you.
I'm here, Hazel. God's got you. A mother's message after her daughter, sophomore Hazel Biondi, says she heard the shots.
And one of my teachers went out to go see what it was. And he peeked his head out, and then as he was shutting the door, he got shot.
Saying her teacher saved students' lives that day.
Yes. I'm very grateful he shut that door.
Calling him a hero, because if he hadn't shut that door,
he might have came in, and I don't even want to think about that.
Days after the noise, silent embraces speak volumes.
I'm glad as a community we can be closer now.
Symbols of support surrounding the students and the school with words of hope for healing. You know, Hazel tells me she's still processing what happened this week and what she saw inside that school. And she did tell me that she eventually does want to go back to school to be with her friends, but she's not sure she'll ever be able to walk down that hallway or sit in that classroom again. Now, all the while, Hazel says that she still wants to go in law enforcement when she gets older because she wants to help people. Reporting live in Winder, Molly Oak, 11 Alive News.
All right, Molly, thanks so much. And you can read more about the case against Colt Gray and his first appearance in court this morning by clicking.
Right, so we're going to pause that there. So I understand that, girl. I wouldn't want to go back, even as a teacher, knowing that my colleagues are not going to be there anymore. Some of my students may not be there anymore. Obviously, you have to. The kids need you, but I don't know. Yeah, I'd be in no rush to go back either. And I think I don't know this school, but with the technology now, I wouldn't be surprised if the school allowed students to work remotely, where they were able to do their classwork at home until they were ready to come back. Because especially those who saw that violence, they're going to need time. So the last video I have is in regards to the ID badges that teachers in this district had received not long. I heard reports of a week before, at the beginning of the school year. Either way, these badges saved lives, and I don't doubt that at all. I had mentioned we have an app on my phone. It's called CashApp. And it is an app where if you open the app, you can hit one button and it will send an alert to the entire school building. And it will also contact law enforcement. And it is also GPS enabled, but that's if I have my phone. I don't have my phone at all times at work. I really only get it when I have to send a message to another staff member. If a kid walks out of class, so-and-so walked out of class. So in that case, I may not, if I was the first one to see something, I would have to go get my phone, open the app. Whereas in this case, they had this on their badge and they just hit a button, a panic button. And I may actually bring this up because I think
we are now going to speak with Stephen Cranebule. He joins me now. He's a teacher at Apalachee High School. Thank you so much for talking to us today.
I do not have a smartwatch. No, I cannot afford one.
I'm really happy to see that you are safe right now, but I am really sorry to hear about this tragedy and the trauma that you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life. Stephen, can you tell us a little bit about what you experienced, but also anything that you can tell us about the teachers and the students who were killed here, the victims of this, and the 9 people who were shot?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for your thoughts and your concerns. I really appreciate it, and this community appreciates it as well. The biggest thing I can say that response was very fast from our SROs, probably within a matter of, probably 120 seconds after gunfire, the SROs responded to the individual and made sure that he was put into custody. In regards to, some of the teachers and students that were involved, it's tough. They were very, very important members of our community. They made a difference. They were there for their students each and every day. And it's going to be very, very hard and difficult to move forward from that.
I think it's really remarkable because we heard from school administrators, we heard from police that there's this new system that was put in place in your school just a week prior. The door is locked. And so describe what that did and how that created a much, much safer and much less deadly incident this time around in a school.
Yes, ma'am. So I believe the program is called Centerjex. Basically, every teacher has a little digital card on them where we can press a button where 4 presses gets our admin involved, and then 8 presses of the button gets law enforcement sent to the high school and alerts that there is a physical threat on campus.
How important was it to have that in place? Not all schools have it, certainly. How important was this? Because you said that officers got there about 2 minutes, 120 seconds from the time of the initial shooting.
Critical. I will tell you that I actually saw the lockdown initiate before I even heard gunshots. So I had time to prepare some.
So that, when I heard him say that, that is so important. So he knew that something was going on before he even heard anything. And currently, at least in my school, we have to either, we'll have the app, like our phones will start going off. So if another teacher were to activate the tap app, our phones, even though they're on silent, would start almost like the emergency alerts that we get. It kind of just goes through your phone. We would get those, but things could happen before that. I think this is ingenuous, like just complete genius to have those red lights activate when someone hits their panic button on their badge.
Someone saw the threat even before he started to engage. So it's almost we knew before anything truly even happened, before lives were taken. So it's insane, the technology that we have access to, and we practice it quite a bit with our administration. They've done a great job in preparing our staff in these kind of situations, and I just want to say God bless them for doing that and hard work that they put into those scenarios.
Yeah, this is such an incredibly different scenario than what we saw in Texas in Uvalde, where there were 77 minutes where
And to compare anything to Uvalde, you can't compare anything to that, because Uvalde was a complete failure of law enforcement. Absolute complete failure. But that's a whole different story. That's a whole different
there was really no stopping this gunman. In your case, this happened so quickly. You have the technology in place. What would you like to say to members of Congress, to your lawmakers, to those that have some power to perhaps make some changes? What would you like to say to them about having to go through this? You go to school to learn. You go to school to teach. You go to school to make friends and to be a part of society. And every year, we're just at the beginning of the school year. Here we are again, 4 people killed, 9 people injured, including students and teachers.
Yes, ma'am. The way I look at it, from a very objective viewpoint, is that a lot of people are grieving right now. A lot of people, to express their grief, they want to cry, they want to hug their loved ones, they want to make sure that everyone's safe. However, I think it's appropriate that other people, their response in grieving is activism, that they want to make a positive change in their community, and whatever that might be. I hope that, there is significant change throughout, hopefully to come in November. And I hope that more legislation can be done to hopefully prevent these situations and keep our children safe.
It sounds like the school took matters into their own hands and really put in a system that worked, with the unfortunate and horrible realization that there are people who have been killed and injured, but it is very different from what has happened at other schools. Would you recommend this to other schools around the country?
Yes, ma'am, without a doubt in my mind. I think this program that Apalachee instilled upon us at 100% saved lives, without a doubt in my mind. I recommend it to any school district.
Stephen Cranebowl, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you were grieving. I know you're going through it. And we just appreciate you coming on and letting the country know what it is that you and those in that school have gone through over.
Oh, and I didn't mean to cut her off, but she gets into a different topic. So I wanted to include that last video because, just like Stephen said, every school should have that technology or something like it. I would be worried having, I don't know how it was, like how the button worked, but accidentally setting it off, but I guess, you would have to hit it 8 times. I believe it was 4 times to alert administration, another 4 times, so a total of 8 to notify law enforcement what was going on. So, great technology. I wonder how expensive it is. Personally, I think it should be free for schools, but what do I know? What do I know? So I just want to look quick. I was looking at comments as we were going through the videos, but just to see if I missed anything. And I don't need a smartwatch. I did see, take up donations. I don't need a smartwatch. My Fitbit is good enough. I have the time, the number of steps I take, my heart rate, my sleep information. I don't need a smartwatch. And Megs, I did say hi, but thanks for being here. I do appreciate it. Oh, so vape detectors, right? Some, there's vape detectors, but no metal detectors. We have vape detectors, but students know how to get around them. Students know how to get around them. And the vape detectors don't detect the dab pens, which the dab pens, I believe, are a bigger issue than the vapes. Oh, wow, Jingles. There's a button in the classroom teachers can hit to call 911, kind of like they have in banks, right? Where they kind of have like the quote panic button. They hit it and it, alerts law enforcement. Oh yeah, Jingles, I know, but I'll be okay. I'll be okay. All right. Well, thanks everyone for being here. I know it's not, the best topic, but being an educator and being in school and knowing that this is, it can happen anywhere. So, those who say, "Oh, it won't happen here." Well, that's what everybody says until it does. So, better to be prepared. Although I don't think you can necessarily be 100% prepared because the drills are just that, they're drills. And so we just, we go into our corner, we huddle in. And a lot of times because the kids know that they're drills, they don't take it seriously. They don't. And in a real situation, I think it would be a lot different and it would be a lot scarier, but hopefully that never comes to fruition because there's enough going on in our schools. We don't need, things like that to happen. So I do plan on going live tomorrow, probably early afternoon, unless it's supposed to rain here all day tomorrow. So I probably won't do anything outside. So probably around 1 or 2-ish Eastern. And then I did reschedule. I was so tired on Wednesday. I had done the earlier live on the shooting. Actually, I was just too tired. So I did reschedule Words on Stream for tomorrow night at 7 Eastern. So hopefully those of you who are my Wordsy people and anybody who isn't a Wordsy person, I hope you can join us because it's a lot of fun. And we also play a matching game in between. So just to kind of have fun on a Saturday night. So yes, and I agree, Gigi, stay safe. Stay safe. Everybody stay safe because we know in this country, it doesn't have to be a school. It could be a grocery store. It could be a splash pad. It could be anywhere we go, someone who cannot use their words with appropriate coping skills chooses to hurt people. And it's really unfortunate, really unfortunate. So have a great night. And until next time, I will see you all on the flip side.